Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We will be starting the orientation at 6 p.m. To allow everyone to get onto this live Zoom of the orientation. So please just bear with us and we will be starting soon. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. I just want to say thank you for coming out to our virtual orientation. We will be beginning in about 10 minutes, but I did want to let you know that we do have a member of our team that is currently answering questions on the YouTube comments. Her name is Shannon Stein. She's our Chief Operating Officer. So if she does answer your question, that is one of our team members. But we would ask that you pay attention to the orientation. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation for any questions that you might have. But if you listen to the information that we provide during the orientation, I think we will likely answer the majority of your questions. But if anything does come up, just write it down and we will get to those questions at the end of the orientation. Thank you, and we will be starting in about 10 minutes. Hello again, everyone. I just want to thank all of you for coming out. We will begin the orientation in just a few minutes. I did just want to take a second to introduce myself. My name is Corey Stevenson. I am the Homeowner Services Manager here at Habitat for Humanity of Greater Sacramento. And I'm happy that so many of you have been able to join us live via YouTube Live to go over our home ownership program orientation, and I will give it just about 1 or 2 more minutes before I begin. But I did want to let everyone know that we do have a member of our team, Shannon Stein, our COO, who is in the YouTube chat and answering some questions. But I did want to stress to everyone that our orientation has a lot of information. So if you listen to what our team members present, they will likely answer many of your questions, and to just hold off on asking any questions in the chat until the end of the presentation so that you can just absorb all of the information. If you do have anything that comes up, to write it down and to just hold those off for the question and answer session at the end of the orientation. So with that, we will begin. So welcome everyone. This is our home ownership program orientation on April 25th of 2022, that should say. And just as kind of looking at a little bit of the constraints we have with hosting the orientation virtually, we do not have the capacity to offer this session in multiple languages, but we will have a recording of the orientation available to everyone to rewatch at your convenience. So possibly if you know of anyone or have any resources to help you translate any of the information in this orientation, we encourage you to do so. But if you do not know of any of those resources, please reach out to Darnell Dumas, one of our homeowner services team members, who I'll introduce to you in a second, so that Habitat can try to help find resources for you. So what is this orientation? Our agenda for tonight. So we'll have a quick introduction to Habitat. We'll go over 3 main selection criteria, which are assessment of need, your ability to pay, and the willingness to partner. And then we'll go over the application process, what the timeline is, what the required documents you will need, and kind of just a general idea of what our home ownership program entails. And then at the end, we will reserve 30 minutes for a non-required question and answer session where we'll go over any of the questions that you might have that we did not go over during the orientation. So Habitat Greater Sacramento, our homeowner services team. So these will be your main points of contact throughout the application process. So with me in the department, we have Kelly Ramos, our homeowner services coordinator, who will be essentially your first point of contact for any questions about sweat equity, home ownership, our home repair program, or just any application questions. We also have Darnell Dumas. He works closely with our community partners and other local organizations for community outreach, and he's a great source for community resources if you need anything in the area. We have one other person in our department as well that you might come in contact with, Patricia Foley, and she is also a homeowner services coordinator, and she will be a good wealth of information about our homeownership program if you do have any questions. And with that, I will turn it over to Darnell. Darnell, I actually can't hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me? Evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. We have a lot of information to share with you guys, so just be patient with us. Try to absorb as much information as you can. I know a lot of you have questions, and we'll try to answer that during this orientation. So I'm gonna start off with our homeowners selection committee. The homeowner selection committee is a volunteer and staff committee of individuals that work with the homeowner service department, Habitat homeowner partners, and applicants to assist with questions about home ownership program, processing applications, sweat equity, and eligibility requirements. The committee also conducts partnership interviews and applicant finalists and their entire household in the selection process. Next slide. So a little history about Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity works in local communities in all 50 states and in more than 70 countries. Habitat has helped more than 35 million people worldwide achieve strength, stability, and independence through safe, decent, and affordable shelter. In 1985, Sacramento Habitat for Humanity was founded. And in 1993, the Yolo County Habitat for Humanity affiliate was founded. In 2002, Sacramento Habitat for Humanity opened our Restore. And then in 2014, Sacramento County and Yolo County affiliates merged to form Habitat for Humanity of Greater Sacramento. That's what we are present day. Present day, Habitat for Humanity of Greater Sacramento has provided affordable homes to over 162 families. In 2021, we completed 7 new homes and 32 home repairs. Here's a brief video of what we do here at Habitat.
Ashraf was an interpreter for a number of U.S. teams. He was alongside us the entire time in very dangerous conditions, a very remote part of Afghanistan. People like Ashraf put himself in great danger just doing what he did to make his country a better place. He's a hard worker, he's family oriented. I can't think of a better person to serve with or a better friend.
There's no word I can say that whatever they did for us, we could, like that word, like fit for that, because they did more than beyond our imagination. Thank you so much.
Okay, I hope everyone was able to see that. Our home ownership program, hello, can you hear me? Okay, so our home ownership opportunity is for hard-working Greater Sacramento area households who would likely not qualify for a conventional mortgage. We do follow equal housing laws. So Habitat for Humanity of Greater Sacramento does not discriminate based on race, sex, marital status, national origin, age, religion, color, and receipt of public assistance income or exercise of rights under the Consumer Credit Protection Act. Where is Habitat building? So right now we build homes in communities where we can acquire land that makes development affordable for the future homeowner. This application period will include 10 opportunities in our cornerstone development off 47th Avenue and Highway 99, as well as 2 infill lots in North Sacramento. Our typical builds are contemporary 3 to 4 bedroom homes with a single car garage, built to California state energy efficiency requirements, and can be made livable design by no other design changes will be made unless required by city or the city council, county. That is it, city council. So here's an overview of our floor plans of what our 3-bedroom looks like. And our square footage for our Habitat homes range from 1,000 to 1,400 square feet. This is a 1-level 3-bedroom. This is our 4-bedroom floor plan, pretty spacious. This is also a 1-level 4-bedroom. And here is our 2-story 4-bedroom floor plan. Just to get an idea of the space and the design and how we build. And this is a rendering of essentially those 4 designs. Yeah. So the cost of the Habitat home, what is the cost of a Habitat home? I know a lot of people think that applicants, they apply and they get a Habitat house for free. We do sell the home. So the sale price is based on fair market value determined by an independent third-party appraisal. The monthly mortgage payment is calculated at no more than 30% of the applicant's gross monthly income at time of purchase. It is a 30-year, 0% equivalent fixed interest mortgage with no down payment. Closing costs of around $5,000 to $10,000 at time of purchase, depending on financing. 5,000, we say 5,000. We just want to kind of set the expectation that there will be a cost associated with the closing costs. And we ask everyone to just try their best to save 5,000. A lot of our family partners have pocketed or saved their tax return to help pay for the closing costs. So that's just one option.
And I just do want to jump in there real quick, Darnell. One of our requirements is that you do have at least $5,000 saved up at least 90 days prior to the closing of your home.
Right. So there's three main selection criteria. Number one is a need for adequate shelter. Number two is the ability to pay the mortgage. And number three, willingness to partner with Habitat for Humanity of Greater Sacramento. And I'll elaborate more on what these three look like in detail. So a need for adequate shelter. Your current housing condition must be: one, overcrowded. An example of that is more than two people share a bedroom, children of different gender identities sharing a bedroom, a child and adult sharing a bedroom, anyone sleeping in a room that is not a bedroom would all be classified as overcrowded conditions. Substandard is either you're living in an unhealthy, inaccessible, or unsafe home. So mold, lacking basic utilities, structural problems, dry rot, in need of major repairs, or disability issues. And number three is it's either too expensive. So paying more than 30% of your gross income on rent, or you're currently participating in a housing choice voucher program or another income adjusted rental program. So if there are applicants that receive any kind of housing choice voucher, you would meet this qualification as for a need for adequate shelter, because you're using the voucher to subsidize a rent that you can't afford. So that is something that would classify as a need for adequate shelter.
And you don't need to have all of these. These are just things that we take into account for need for adequate shelter. You don't have to have each one of these as your living situation.
Right. So the ability to pay, the income category. So it is an income-based program, and is based on your family size and the area median income. So for example, in Sacramento County, for a family of four, the 30% of the AMI is $30,400 annually. And then the 80% of the AMI is $81,050. Some credit requirements: debt to income ratio no greater than 43%. So your total debt, monthly expense, not expense, but your monthly debt, for example, credit card bills, card notes, can't exceed more than 43% of your income. No accounts in negative standing, no liens or judgments, all must be cleared prior to application submission. At least 5 years evidence of financial stability following a bankruptcy. Medical collections or student loans may be excused on a case-by-case basis, and there's no minimum FICO score requirement for this program. Closing costs. So certain costs in connection to the home purchase and loan closing, taxes, insurance, etc. Homeowner partner will be responsible for paying most of the closing costs. Closing costs range from $5,000 to $10,000 depending on the financing. As far as saving for the closing costs, in order to prepare for your closing costs, we will work with you to create a savings plan. You must have at least $5,000 saved at least 3 months before the purchase of the house. If you have not saved $5,000, it could be grounds for deselection. So I want everyone to write down this word. You will need this to write this down on your document checklist. If you do not include this word, your application will be considered incomplete. The word is cement. And then the next slide will be willingness to partner as an applicant. And my colleague, Kelly Ramos, will give you guys the scoop on that.
Yes, and Kelly will also go over where you will need to put this word so you'll know exactly where it needs to go, and she'll go over that with you.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Thanks for being here. So I'm going to pick up here at willingness to partner as an applicant, because we do view our homeowner partners truly as partners. So we need our partners to demonstrate responsibility, organization, and communication skills throughout the application process. We need you to be able to contribute 500 hours of sweat equity building yours and others' homes. So in many cases, you could be working on your neighbor's home as well as your own. And alternative sweat equity hours can be made up for those physically unable to work at the build sites. We do require that you attend homeowner education workshops and other necessary workshops. And we do ask that you're willing to share your story with our donors, community partners, and followers. We want to spread the word and show how we're lifting up all of our neighbors. So communication is incredibly important in this process. We need to know of any changes that are happening with your financial situation. If there is an issue that comes up with submitting your financial documents, we just need to be in communication with you. We need documents on a monthly basis. We need to have our sweat equity hours scheduled with the volunteer coordinator. We need to be kept in touch if something is coming up preventing you from doing any of those things. You should immediately notify us in the Homeowner Services Department of any changes to your financial or household makeup throughout your partnership. We want to help, and I want to really forcefully say this, that we want to help you in any way that we can. We are here to support you, but we can only do that if we're in communication and you keep us informed. And of course, failure to notify us of any changes could result in deselection. Okay, sweat equity. So sweat equity is basically 500 volunteer hours working on the construction of your home and the homes of other future homeowner partners. Other volunteer hours will be made available to those who are physically unable to perform construction work. Only those who will be living in the home can contribute to the sweat equity hours, the 500. Children that are going to contribute must be at least 16 years old to work on the site. And anyone under the age of 18 must have a parent or legal guardian present to work. Sweat equity hours can be worked anytime, but Tuesday through Saturday from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. You want to show up for your sweat equity on time, ready to work and have fun, and to, of course, be safe. And then finally, the way that we ask that you complete your sweat equity is that in the first 100 hours, we need your 16 hours in any 1 month period completed, and we need your first 100 hours finished in the first 4 months.
And 500 hours does seem like a lot, but at least from all of the feedback from our homeowner partners, it is a very enjoyable time. You learn a lot. Our site supervisors love what they do. They're a wealth of knowledge, and it just has been a pleasant experience for all of our homeowner partners. So it may seem daunting, but it's not as daunting as you might think.
Okay, so moving on to some other eligibility requirements. We do ask that you are living or working in Sacramento or Yolo County for at least 1 year. It doesn't have to be both, it has to be either one. Applicants and co-applicants must be first-time home buyers or have sold or otherwise lost their home at least 5 years ago. Applicants and co-applicants must be legal permanent residents or citizens of the US. Okay, we do ask for banking documents along with a copy of your rental agreement. Must show 6 months of responsible and on-time rent payments. And we will perform a complete consumer investigation report, including a criminal background check. Okay, so the background check. During the application process, we do conduct the full criminal background check as part of the consumer investigation report. We are only using the criminal background check to look for specific convictions such as fraud or violent or sexual offenses. We do not want you to let minor offenses stop you from applying, because we recognize that a person's past is in no way indicative of who they are. And I mean, that wouldn't affect the our decision in the application process at all. Any adverse decisions based on the results of the complete consumer investigation report will be discussed with the applicant, and results of the inquiries are available if you request them. Okay, grounds for deselection. I would like to preface this to say that if you are deselected, you will know that that is coming, because we will be actively trying to reach out to you over a period of time, and you will have the opportunity to, handle any issues in, the application process before you're deselected. So this is like the final straw, and we really don't want it to get to this point with any of our applicants. So the reasons you may be deselected would be for fraud or misrepresentation otherwise on your application information, certain criminal convictions, failure to partner or act in compliance with the requirements set forth in the letter of acceptance, which would be not completing your sweat equity or attending the homeowner education workshops or things like that. And then any change in economic circumstances, which would affect the applicants to ability to meet the ability to pay. Sorry, guys. Basically, if you have a change in your income or a change in your debt to income ratio, this is what I'm trying to explain. So as Darnell showed you that area median income range, we really want to make sure that you're staying in that area median income range so that you're eligible for the program. Okay, now the application process. So here we are on April 25th. We are in the virtual home ownership orientation, and applications have just become available. So from now through May 28th is the submission period. You'll turn in your application with copies of all the supporting documentation, and I'm going to walk you through the checklist of what that entails here in just a minute. June 13th, you want to keep that date in mind. Any missing documents must be submitted by this date, and if you're mailing them, you have to mail them before, because if they're not in our office by June 13th, your application will be rejected because it was not complete. So then in May and June, we're reviewing our applications in the Homeowner Services Department. And then in June and July, we'll be meeting with applicants that have been selected to continue past initial review. And by the end of July, we will have our final decisions communicated to all applicants.
So then if you are selected to continue past the initial review, we just want to say up front that we will need to schedule 2 meetings with you between June 27th and July 20th. One of those meetings will need to be in the office, and the other one would need to be at your home with your family. So just keep that in mind to keep some of that open, because we will need to have those 2 meetings scheduled.
Sorry, Corey, I was gonna go through that on the next time that's like around. You beat me to it. Okay, so this is what the application documentation checklist is going to look like. When you print this out, you're gonna take a look at this. Okay, so this is the word cement that Darnell had you make sure you took a note of. You're gonna wanna look for this specific verification word. Fill that in on your application so that your application is complete. We want to make sure that you watched this orientation and that you have really like become familiar with what it's going to entail. So that's why we ask that you write the verification word on your application. Shows us that you stuck with it. Okay, so moving on to identification. We will need to see a California driver's license or photo ID card, a social security card for each household member. So for legal US resident status, a birth certificate, proof of citizenship, legal residence cards for the applicant and co-applicants, and DD 214 for any veteran household members.
And so for this first section that says Hfhgs provided materials, this will be what the actual application packet that you will be downloading will contain. So it will have the document checklist and this is where you're going to put the word cement. It will have the application cover letter. It will have the actual application, and it will have this monthly budget for you to fill out, as well as a couple other disclaimers, credit report stuff for you to take a look at. So that is what that first section will be for Hfhgs provided materials. That is the actual application packet that you will download and that is available right now.
Okay, so moving on, we are going to ask you to submit photocopies of your personal documents. Do not give us the originals. You'll need those for your own records. So this is going to cover the income verification requirements. So first, we will need employment verification, a letter from your employers to verify employment. This could be an offer letter, a California Form 2810, or a current letter from your boss is acceptable. If you're self-employed, in addition to the financial documents listed below, we will need a P&L, a profit and loss statement, and any tax forms related to your business, as well as 6 current and consecutive months for accounts that list business activities, meaning bank accounts. We will also need pay stubs, so 6 months, most current from date of application submission. And that will need to include the name of your employer, and your deductions must be visible on the pay stubs. SSI, SSA income. So you will receive a social security statement of benefits or an annual award letter, award payments and payment histories for similar stable government income sources, such as disability, VA disability, and the GI Bill. If you're receiving public assistance, a letter from the county or state to verify that you receive the following, either short-term disability, disability insurance, unemployment income, cash awards, TAMP, CalWorks, Medi-Cal, food stamps, or general assistance. We do want bank statements for all accounts, checking, savings, and your pension or 401k accounts spanning, again, 6 months from the date of the application submission. Complete copies of income tax returns, including W-2s for 2020 and 2021. If you have filed for an extension for this tax year, we would ask that you provide us tax return for 2019 and 2020. If you are living in subsidized housing, any paperwork from a housing authority SHRA, HUD, Housing Choice Voucher Program, formerly known as Section 8, that indicates where you currently live in subsidized housing. Additionally, any other income or wages. So we would ask that you send a copy, a letter, a computer printout, or other identifying information for any income you'd like to claim. This would include child support, alimony, inheritance, educational scholarships, work study, and pension or 401k. And we do ask that you provide us a current credit report. You can request a free 3-bureau credit report at annualcreditreport.com. You also can ask perhaps your credit card lender or your bank to provide a credit report for you as well. Okay, moving on. We need to see rent receipts. So scans of canceled or processed checks 6 months worth. And typically, if you are writing a check for your rent, a copy of that canceled check will appear on your bank statement. That is acceptable. If those are appearing on your bank statements, we can simply match it up. We will need a copy of valid registration and proof of insurance for each vehicle that you own. Copies of your most recent SMUD and PG&E bills, and your cell phone or home phone bill. And we ask that you provide us a list of 5 references, just a list with names, addresses, and phone numbers. And if you have letters of reference, we would ask that you send those as well. Finally, we ask that you write us a letter. We want to hear from you. Tell us how a Habitat home would impact you and other household members. Like, how would it affect your lives to be able to buy a Habitat house, and how home ownership would affect your household's long-term goals. Please date it and sign it. Thank you. Okay, so documentation submission. So this is going to basically help you through avoiding any mistakes in submitting your application. We need all of the documents to have the relevant identifying information visible. So please be sure, if you're scanning something, making a copy of it, the pages are straight and there's no information cut off the edges. It's not diagonal, so we're missing some, important part of your address or your personal information. If your financial conditions change during the application period, you get a new job, open a credit card, or you have an incident that might affect your household income or increase your debt, please let us know as soon as possible. We don't want you to conceal any financial information that could disqualify you. We would want to work with you to see if we can, get that under control in the time that you are applying to be a partner for us. Please only submit copies of the required documentation and keep your originals for your own files. And if you have questions or concerns about document submission or the application in general, please reach out to me, Kelly Ramos. I'm the Homeowner Services Coordinator, and I am here to help you throughout this process.
And just one more thing to add: when you are submitting your documentation, we ask that you include all pages. So a lot of times bank statements will have numbered pages. The last page, a lot of the times, is blank. We still need that blank page, just so we have all of the pages that are actually listed on the bottom. So if it says 7 of 7, we have that last page, even if it's blank.
Okay, and now for the fun part, submitting your application. Once you've done all this work and you've put together your completed application, you can submit your application 2 ways. You can mail it to us to Habitat for Humanity of Greater Sacramento, Attention Homeowner Services Department, or me, and you'll mail it to 819 North 10th Street, Sacramento, California, 95811. You are also welcome to drop your application off during our regular business hours, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. However, during the month of May, which is the month that applications are open, we will have myself as well as volunteers ready to accept your applications and go over them with you Wednesdays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and again from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So that is a really great resource that we encourage you to take advantage of. That way you don't have to wait to hear back from us. If you're missing something, you can find out right away and get it to us as soon as possible. We really encourage you to utilize these resources because we are here to help you. We want to make your application as successful as it could possibly be.
And just when we are reviewing it, at least for this initial round, we are not actually going in depth into your application. We are reviewing it for completeness. So we will not be able to give you a definitive answer. We can only give you an answer stating this is what you're missing. And this is what we need for your application to be complete. And this is a good opportunity to utilize us as a resource because we do have that hard June 13th cutoff date for you to submit all of your applications. So we do have it on the Wednesdays and Thursdays in May. We also have it two Saturdays at the end of May on the 21st and the 28th between 9 and 4 if you're unable to make it during the week.
Okay, incomplete applications. If you submit an application that doesn't have all the required documents, you will receive a notice of an incomplete application letter, which will indicate which items are missing. All documents must be in Habitat's possession by 13th, or your application will be considered incomplete and it will be denied. We encourage everyone to submit their application as soon as possible. So if you are missing a document, if you're missing a page, if you're missing, anything pertinent, we want to give you as much time to gather that information and get it to us so we can process a complete application. Okay, so we're back on the application process screen. So again, April 25th, we're looking at this virtual homeownership orientation, and you should feel well on your way and comfortable with what you're going to need to get to us to apply. Now through May 28th is the submission period. Turn in all those applications with copies of all the required supporting documentation. June 13th is that hard and fast cutoff date, so make sure you have everything to us by then. May and June, we're reviewing applications. June and July, we are meeting with any applicants who have continued past initial review. And as Corey stated before, we're going to schedule 2 meetings with those folks. The first is going to be in our office. The second will be at your home, and we're going to meet with your family. Those meetings will be between June 27th and July 20th. So you must be available during this period. At the end of July, we will have made our final decisions and communicated them to all applicants. Okay, and that's it. Thank you. We are going to open it up now to a question and answer. I'm sure that there's still plenty of questions. We will not be able to answer individual questions at this time, but any clarification, we have our wonderful COO Shannon answering comments, and Corey's going to answer them as well on our Zoom call here. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kelly and Darnell. I'm just going to leave up their contact information just for a little bit longer so that you can write that down if you do have any questions while I start taking a look at compiling some of the questions that you had throughout the orientation. All right, so let's see. So the first question that I have up here is, can sweat equity be split among several members of the house? Yes, so any member of your household that will be staying in your household once you purchase the Habitat Home can contribute to the sweat equity hours, but again, it is dependent on their age, so they have to be at least 16 in order to do any sweat equity hours. What is the floor plan based on? So our floor plans are trying to create equitable and comfortable living situations. They are just plans that we have developed as a home builder and have gone through the permit process with the city to get that all permitted for us to actually build them. AMI in the presentation are 2022 numbers. We still have 2021 numbers on the website. Please acknowledge this and let them, so yes, our AMI in the presentation are the current numbers. On the website, it is the 2021 numbers, but if you download the application packet, it actually includes the 2022 numbers. So those are all up to date, and we will get the website updated to indicate the new numbers. Does IHSS count as income? Yes, it does. How do we complete sweat equity hours if we have full-time jobs? So unfortunately, we do not have any leeway with the sweat equity hours. It is one of the requirements that makes our building affordable for the homeowners, as well as feasible for us to actually build homes. So we can't, we don't have any exceptions for that. Some of our homeowner partners have arranged for, if they need childcare, they'll have family members help them out with taking care of their kids to get sweat equity time done. Others have used some vacation time and other things like that. But unfortunately, there is no way for us to get around the 500 hours of sweat equity. Will we be able to get slides from the presentation? Yes, I can make the PDF of the slide deck available. You can either email me or we'll put it up on the website so that you will have a PDF version of the orientation for your review. Will this be recorded? Yes, we are recording it. And after editing it and making sure it will be able to be uploaded, it should be up on our website either tomorrow or at least sometime this week, but I believe it should be tomorrow. Where are the North Sacramento locations? We don't have exactly the location right now, but we are planning 2 infill lots in North Sacramento. We base this on our land bank. So we are planning on building 2 infills in North Sacramento, but at this time, I cannot give you an exact location. Does every member of the household have to complete a full application? No. So we only need 1 full application for your entire household. We will need different information from the different members of your household in the application, but we will only need 1 actual complete application for your entire household. Please note that if you are married, California state law requires it's a communal housing state, so both you and your partner would need to be applicant and co-applicants, and we would need all of the financial information for those people, as well as anyone that is, I believe, 16 or older and contributing, no, 18 or older and contributing to the household income. Do we accept application drop-off on Fridays? Yes, so we will accept applications during normal business hours, Monday through Friday between 9 and 4. But again, we would emphasize using both Habitat as well as our volunteers during those Wednesday and Thursday application review times, so that you can get your application reviewed for completeness. So if you are missing anything, you have as much time as possible to get those missing documents to get everything in by that June 13th deadline. The office hours, it is walk-in. So just be aware that depending on how many people walk in on any given day and how many volunteers we have. It may take a little bit of time for us to review the application with potential applicants. So just be aware that it might take some time. So set aside some time if you do plan on coming in to drop off the application and have us review it for completeness. How many homes are we selecting for? So for this opportunity, we are selecting between 10 and 12 houses. Again, we are anticipating doing some infill lots in North Sacramento, but that is why it's between 10 and 12 for this application period. Let's see. Let me see if we have any more ready to go. Take a look at the this, I think, is an interesting question. If you're not rented for 6 months, can you still apply? So that kind of depends on what your specific situation is. We do recognize that there are many different current living situations because of different economic hardships. We're still kind of in the midst of COVID. So we do recognize that there are kind of different living situations for all of our applicants. So if you haven't been renting, but you're, for example, staying with family or something like that, we would ask that you basically explain that in some form of writing, just explaining what your current living situation is and letting us know so that we can still consider you during this application cycle. So to apply for this home ownership opportunity, for this specific opportunity, you will need at least 3 people and no more than 8. That is because we're building 3 and 4 bedroom homes, and it is our policy that you must have at least 1 person in each room, but no more than 2. So that's why it's between 3 and 8 for this specific home ownership opportunity during this open application. There is no minimum credit score, but we do ask that you provide a complete credit history. We don't want just your credit score because that's not really what we're looking for. We want to see what is going on with your credit. And we do take into account looking at essentially what has been going on. So if you have had some collections in the past, but you've worked the past 5 years to take care of them, that is something that we look at. And that's why we don't just look at, we don't really use FICO credit scores, is because we understand those issues are one of the things that kind of force hardworking families not to be able to get a traditional mortgage and purchase a house. So we do ask that you make sure to include a complete credit history and not just your credit score. What happens if some family members cannot volunteer due to disability? So not everyone in your household needs to complete the sweat equity work. If they would like to help with the sweat equity and they're physically unable to work at the construction site, we can make some accommodations and different volunteer opportunities to allow them to help with the household sweat equity hours. What if you live in a modular home but have a mortgage? So I'm assuming since you have a mortgage that you do actually own the home. And unfortunately, if you do own any property, you would not qualify for this home ownership opportunity. So for the credit history, you do not need to do a hard inquiry on yourself. We only request that you do a soft pull for the application. We will do a hard credit pull if you continue on past initial review. And same thing with the background check. If you pass the first initial review of the applications, that is when we do the complete consumer investigation report, which would include the background check and a hard credit pull. What is an infill lot? Infill lot is basically where you have an empty space where there's houses built around them. And that's where we're going to build, is that empty lot within an already relatively built up area. And just using that empty lot to create a new house in an area that has already been at least slightly developed. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like someone's asking about the address for where to drop off or mail the application. This will be on the actual application, but it is 819 North 10th Street in Sacramento. But again, this will be listed on the application once you download and take a look at that. Let's see if there's any. So you can download the application on our website. If you go to it and go to the Apply tab, there should be a link that says Download Application. Click here to download the application. This will take you to a couple of extra questions that are pretty important. It is some of the requirements that we have, and just kind of reiterating that you are a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, you're a first-time home buyer, you've not filed bankruptcy in the last 5 years, that you have at least or between 3 and 8 people in the household, and that you have lived or worked in Sacramento or Yolo County for at least the last year. And then under all of that, there's a bold red link that says click here to download the application, and that's where you would look to get it. So all applicants do not have to have verifiable income, but any income for your household has to be included with all of your financial information. And if they do have any income, you need to report that. But if one applicant is employed, the other co-applicant is not, that does not affect your eligibility. One says, I don't work, or am I still available to apply? So it depends on what you are doing or what stable income you have coming in. So if you are not working, but you still have a stable income, you would potentially still qualify depending on what your income is and what your household size is. But I wouldn't be able to answer that specifically for you, just that if you're not working, but you do have stable income, you would not be disqualified as long as you still fall within those income guidelines. So we do require that the applicant and co-applicant be either U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents at the time of the application. So if you are currently applying for a different legal status, unfortunately, this is not the opportunity for you. We will be having additional opportunities both later this year as well as in the next couple of years. We anticipate we'll continue to see about the same amount of opportunities per homeownership application. So we would just encourage you to apply once that legal status change has taken effect. Unfortunately, at this time, because of basically a lot of the amount of taxes in Yolo County, as well as the funding that we do not currently have anything, do not have any homes being built in Yolo County. So is the house attached to the homeowner for life, or homeowner will be able to sell it if move out of the state or outgrow in family size? So there are a lot of different components that go into our mortgage agreements. And part of that is to make sure that people aren't just getting a home and either renting it or immediately selling it to try to basically use a habitat as kind of a way to make a quick profit. So there are some equity, or not equity, but appreciation sharing provisions. There is a regulatory agreement that requires the house to be sold only to a qualifying low income household. So that would be 30 to 80%. So you would not have to have the house for life. You could sell it, but there are some instruments that we use to make sure that our program isn't taken advantage of to just either rent it out or make a quick profit on the housing that we make. We do ask that you need to have consistent work for the past 6 months. So that is one of the criteria for us in the ability to pay, is because we need to see that you do have a long-term ability to continue to make mortgage payments. And one of those attributes is that we see a consistent working for at least the past 6 months. So if you are accepted into the homeownership program, you do not get a choice of which house will be assigned to you. So after you've completed your first 100 hours of sweat equity, you will be assigned a house. You are able to reject that assignment, but that would mean deselection from the program, and you'd have to start from square one again and apply for our homeownership once again after 6 months have passed, if you choose not to accept the house assignment. Not all members of the household have to be on your current rental lease. So our designs cannot be changed unless they are going to be made livable design, or if the city or county requires us to change the design for some reason. These have already been permitted and accepted by the city, so we cannot make any changes to the floor plan and design that we have already submitted. Closing costs. So closing costs are fees and different items that need to be paid for in association with actually getting the house sold, and all of the different documents that need to be notarized and everything along with that to actually have a sale and transaction of the house. So with that, we have seen closing costs actually be around about $8,000. So that's why we have at least 5,000 90 days before closing, and then we suggest a cushion of about $10,000 just to make sure that you do have the money for the closing costs. We do not accept Section 8 for these houses, but if you're in the Housing Voucher Choice Program, you can apply, because that is one of the criteria that we use to see if you have a need for adequate housing. If you just got a new job, we would require you to have give us your payments from your previous job, as well as to any pay stubs that you have from your current job, and that'll just be 6 months back from the time that you apply. Any bankruptcy does not technically disqualify you from the program. A bankruptcy within the last 5 years would disqualify you from the program. That is based on, we are a lender. We're not giving away these homes. You are actually buying the homes, and that bankruptcies go into what we use or what we see when we're analyzing your ability to pay a mortgage. You would not need to move out if your family grows. If you are accepted into the program and once we sell the house to you, it is your house. But if you have a household composition change during the application process, we would need to know that, and it could potentially impact your qualification for the program. So the $5,000 to $10,000, the $5,000 would be needed at least 90 days prior to closing. The full amount of closing costs would be needed at the time of closing, when you actually purchase your house. And unfortunately, our homeownership opportunities, for at least this opportunity, are only 3 to 4 bedroom homes. We are trying to get smaller houses in the future, but unfortunately, at this time, we can only do 3 to 4 bedroom homes. Okay, so that is about it from what I am seeing. What are the next steps? So the application is available for download at our website. If you go to habitatgreatersac.org, if you go either click on the apply for home ownership or under the homeownership and repairs program and click on apply for a home, in bold writing at the top of the page, there is a link that says click here to download the application. You click on that. You scroll down, make sure you answer any of these questions on that page. And if any of the statements, such as if you and the applicant and co-applicant are US or legal permanent residents, you're a first-time home buyer, you have not filed for bankruptcy in the last 5 years, there are between 3 and 8 people in your household, and you have lived or worked in Sacramento or Yolo County for at least the last year. If any of those statements do not apply to you and your co-applicant, you would not qualify for this specific home ownership opportunity based on the size of the house that we are building. But if those all do apply to you, in red bold writing at the bottom, it says click here to download the application. you can download the application, print it out, and start filling it out. You can come to our office at 819 North 10th Street to pick up a hard copy if you are unable to print it. And again, we would just suggest that you complete the application as soon as possible, and come in and speak with one of our team members on a Wednesday or Thursday, and see if your application is complete, so that we can let you know if you are missing anything. And if you are missing anything, you have as much time to get those documents ready. So if you have any other questions, Kelly's contact information is up on the screen. So feel free to reach out to us, and thank you all for coming. And I look forward to speaking with many of you. Thank you.